In the heart of the vast wilderness, while snow covered the white earth, an unexpected incident occurred. A solitary hunter in the rugged wilderness found a poignant sight: a pregnant she-wolf dying alone, succumbing to the harsh Alaskan winter. The hunter did not hesitate for a moment. He reached into his backpack and took out pieces of dried meat he had prepared for his lunch. Gently, he tossed them toward the she-wolf, who sniffed them cautiously before she began devouring them hungrily. Jack said in a low voice, "Go ahead, girl. You need it more than I do." Watching her eat, he noticed how thin she was and how matted and dirty her fur appeared. She looked like she hadn't eaten in days. He wondered what happened to her pack, since wolves usually live and hunt in cooperative groups. But this wolf was all alone. From that day, Jack made it his mission to help the wolf. He named her Luna because her fur shone like moonlight. Realizing that Luna was about to give birth to her pups, Jack began to worry about how she would care for them in the harsh winter cold, and he knew he had to act quickly. Without wasting any time, Jack hurried back to his humble cabin to gather supplies. He returned with an axe, a rope, and as many blankets as he could carry. Jack worked hard all day, and he built a small shelter near the place where he found Luna. And when the sun began to set on the horizon, Jack knew it was time to move Luna. He approached her slowly and spoke in a calm, reassuring tone. "Hello, Luna. I've prepared a better place for you to rest." Luna watched him with weary eyes, too tired to move away. With great care, Jack wrapped Luna in a warm blanket. She was too weak to resist as he gently lifted her in his arms. He gently laid her on the soft bed he'd prepared, and she instantly relaxed, sinking into its warmth and comfort. As the first stars appeared in the sky, Jack reluctantly prepared to leave and said to her, "I'll be back early in the morning, Luna. Rest now." From that day on, Jack would come to her regularly, bringing her food and checking on her condition. At first, Luna remained cautious, but she began to trust him as the days went by. The other forest animals noticed Jack's kindness to Luna. A curious black wolf began to follow Jack on his daily visits to Luna. Initially, Jack feared the black wolf might harm Luna or her future cubs, but surprisingly, the wolf appeared as concerned for Luna as he was. One day, when Jack arrived at Luna's shelter, he found the black wolf curled up beside her, keeping her warm. Jack couldn't believe his eyes. It seemed as if the black wolf knew that Luna needed help and wanted to do his part. As the harsh winter continued, Jack kept taking care of Luna. He spoke to her gently and told her stories about his life in the forest. Luna seemed to be listening, her amber eyes fixed on Jack as he spoke. On one stormy night, Jack felt worried. The wind was howling outside his cabin, shaking the windows violently. He had a feeling that something wasn't right. He put on his warmest coat and went out into the snowstorm to check on Luna. The snow was so thick that he could barely see his way. But he kept going, worried about his friend the she-wolf. When he reached Luna's shelter, his heart sank. Luna wasn't there. He looked around and called her name, then heard a faint whimper. Jack followed the sound and found Luna in a small nearby cave. She was giving birth to her pups. Jack stayed with Luna all evening, comforting and warming her. He used his coat to protect her from the cold wind blowing into the cave. As the hours passed, Jack watched in amazement as Luna gave birth to 4 pups. After the birth, Jack left and promised Luna he would return the next morning. The next day, when the storm finally calmed down, Jack came as he had promised. He saw Luna curled up with her new family, looking tired but happy. He helped her take care of her puppies and brought her extra food so she could produce milk for them. As the weeks passed, the puppies grew bigger and stronger. They started to play and explore outside the shelter he built for them. Jack loved watching them, especially the smallest puppy, whom he named Tiny. Tiny was always the last to try new things, but once he started, he was the most adventurous. The black wolf kept visiting and played with the wolf pups like they were his own family. Jack was amazed at how well the black wolf and Luna got along. It was as if they had formed their own little pack, with Jack as an honorary member. As spring approached, Jack noticed more activity in the forest. While visiting Luna and her pups one afternoon, he heard a branch snap and muffled voices in the distance. His wild instincts told him that something was not right. Jack quietly crept through the thick bushes, following the sound. Soon, he saw 4 hunters carrying rifles, tracking Luna's footprints in the melting snow. His heartbeat quickened as he listened to their conversation. "We've been tracking this pack of wolves for days," whispered one of the hunters. "They've been seen near the farms. We can't risk them attacking the livestock or people." Another added, "I heard there are pups. It's better to deal with this now before it gets worse." Jack knew he had to act quickly. He hurried to Luna's den, his mind racing for a plan. When he arrived, he saw Luna pushing her pups deeper into the cave. The black wolf stood guard at the entrance. Still, Jack could hear the hunters approaching, their voices growing louder. When the hunters appeared on the horizon, Jack stood firmly in front of the shelter's entrance. He stood firm, eyes fixed on them with unwavering determination. "This she-wolf and her cubs are under my protection," he said, his voice echoing in the quiet forest. "They haven't harmed anyone." The hunters were astonished and lowered their rifles in surprise. They had never seen anyone defend a wolf before. "Jack," one of them said, recognizing him, "what are you doing? These wolves can be dangerous." Jack took a deep breath, and his next words could mean life or death for Luna and her family. He began to tell them Luna's story, explaining how he found her dying in the snow and helped her survive the harsh winter. As he spoke, his voice was filled with passion and conviction, recounting the birth of the pups and the unlikely friendship that had formed. "Come and see for yourselves," urged Jack, pointing toward the shelter. Cautiously, the hunters approached. He showed them how gentle Luna was and that her pups were playful too. Tiny, the smallest pup, peeked out of the shelter, curiosity overcoming his fear. The hunters watched in awe as the pup carefully approached Jack and nuzzled his hand. The hunters listened, and their expressions shifted from skepticism to astonishment. They were amazed by Jack's compassion and the extraordinary friendship between a man and a wolf. They each lowered their rifles, and the tension disappeared. "I've never seen anything like this," admitted one of the hunters, shaking his head in disbelief. Jack sees that these wolves are not a threat, so he told them they are a family trying to survive just like us. "I've been watching them closely, and I can assure you they haven't come near any farms. They hunt deep in the forest, far from people." The hunters exchanged glances, and it seemed they were reconsidering their mission. Finally, the leaders spoke. "All right, we trust you, but you'll need to watch them and make sure they stay out of trouble." Jack nodded seriously, feeling a wave of relief wash over him. He promised them, "You have my word," knowing that he had just become the official protector of Luna's herd. After the hunters left, Jack turned back to the shelter. Luna and the black wolf stood at the entrance, their amber eyes meeting his, and as spring arrived, Jack knew it was time for Luna and her pups to return to the wild. And although it was a difficult decision, he realized it was the best for their survival. On a cold morning, Jack went to the shelter he had built. Luna and her puppies were already outside enjoying the sunlight. Jack approached, overwhelmed with emotion. "Hello, girl," he said softly. Luna perked up and wagged her tail as the now bigger, bolder puppies played at her feet. Jack sighed deeply and started taking apart the shelter, removing the branches and logs he had gathered. As he worked, he spoke to Luna, explaining to her what he was doing. "It's time for you to go, Luna," he said in a low, emotional voice. "You and your pups need to be free to live as wolves are meant to live." Luna watched him and seemed to understand. The black wolf, her constant companion, watched from nearby. Once the shelter was removed, Jack gathered the blankets he had used for Luna, folded them carefully, determined to keep them as a memento. And as the area was restored to its natural state, Jack knew that the time for the final farewell had come. He knelt down, letting the puppies come close to him one last time. He rubbed their noses with his hand, revealing their wild nature. Finally, Jack turned to Luna, gently patted her head, and scratched behind her ears one last time. "Thank you," he whispered, "for trusting me and showing me a side of nature I never knew." Luna licked his hand, then, as if she understood, she barked softly to her pups. They gathered around her. Jack stood up, took a step back, and said to them, "Go now. It's time for you to return to the wild." Luna gave Jack one last look, then led her pups deep into the forest, with the black wolf following closely behind. Jack watched them vanish into the forest. He stood for a long time, listening to the woods, feeling both sadness and peace. Jack went back to his cabin, grabbed a notebook, and started writing about his time with Luna. As he wrote, Jack realized that even though Luna and her pups were gone, they had forever changed the way he saw the forest and its creatures. A whole year passed, and one autumn day, Jack was in the forest when he heard a strange sound. It was a wolf's howl, but it sounded familiar. Jack looked around, his heart pounding as he searched among the trees. He saw an incredible sight. Luna, now larger and stronger, stood with 4 adult wolves, her pups. Luna's howl echoed through the forest, and she seemed to recognize this area, the place where Jack had helped her during that harsh winter, and where she had given birth to her pups. Perhaps the familiar environment triggered her instinct to call out, marking her territory and signaling to her pack. Jack's eyes filled with tears as he watched Luna and her family looking healthy and happy. Luna's eyes met Jack's, and for a moment he felt as if she recognized him and remembered the kindness he had shown her a year ago. Then Luna howled again, and this time her grown pups joined her, their voices creating a beautiful wild chorus. Jack laughed and cried at the same time. He was overwhelmed by the unexpected surprise and the proof of Luna's family's thriving. He noticed a flash of black fur. The black wolf was still following Luna's pack. Jack's heart swelled with joy to see that the unlikely friendship between the black wolf and Luna had endured. For a few precious minutes, Luna and her family stayed in place, as if allowing Jack to see how well they were doing. With one last look at Jack, Luna vanished into the forest, her pups and the black wolf following. After the wolves left, Jack's heart overflowed with happiness and pride. He had always thought of himself as just a simple hunter, but now he realized he was part of something greater. Now tell me, have you ever unexpectedly encountered a wild animal, and did that experience change the way you think? Tell your story in the comments below.